ma'am. Welcome to this interaction session with Uncovering India. And India today is certainly looking forward to our strongholds, our institutions like the ICMR NIV, which has on the new year has gifted us with vaccine to combat the deadly coronavirus. So many congratulations to you on this achievement and your team. And on this Republic Day, we wish you, giving hearty congratulations to you. How do you look at this final result that you have achieved, which has come against a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties? So how do you trace this journey? And before you do that, please introduce NIV to our viewers. What is NIV all about?
Okay, National Institute of Virology under the ICMR. We are known as the ICMR National Institute of Virology, is one of the 26 institutes that ICMR has. As the name suggests, our mandate is to be one of the leading laboratories of the government, looking at new emerging viral illnesses, enhancing diagnostics, and also technology transfer where required. We are also an apex laboratory for a network of virus research diagnostic laboratories under the Department of Health Research. And yes, now for the first time, we have worked with a particular pharma to make a vaccine. So that's our new achievement.
How does it feel, ma'am, having a vaccine now in place? At the last year, at the threshold of at the beginning of the new year, we were looking at a bleak future ahead, and in 1 year's time, we have a more brighter future ahead with a vaccine in hand. So, and that was indigenously developed. So, how do you look at this scenario?
Yes, I really like to say that this journey has been quite incredible. Last year, this time, we were actively using the testing that we had put in place, actively looking for any potential cases of SARS coronavirus 2 from patients who were whose samples were coming to us with severe respiratory illness. And last year, this time on Jan 26th, we had not yet come across a positive case. About 3 days from Jan 26th, on the night of Jan 29th, we actually found that we had our first positive. And we were very cautious at that point. We did not restrict our testing to just one lab within the institute. I had requested 2 teams, independent teams, to be doing the testing for the same set of samples, so that should we come across a positive, this would be independently verified in another lab. Because the gravity of releasing the information that we had a positive and that SARS-CoV-2 had come into our country was immense. So at this time, 2 labs were up and ready to do the testing, and we were testing all suspect cases of severe respiratory illness. And this last year, this time, we hadn't yet hit on a positive. But we've come a long way from there, from having actually detecting the first case on the night of Jan 29th, and that being made public on Jan 30th. We went on to train this network of virus research diagnostic labs. We started with initial 13 labs, 13, and today we have more than 107 of these labs trained up and ready to do this testing, the RT-PCR. And today we have over 2,000 labs, 2,350 labs, government laboratories, being able to do, both in the private and in the government sector, being able to do testing for this virus using RT-PCR. So it has been a very, sharp curve in terms of building testing capabilities in labs along the length and breadth of our country. We also were the lab that was initially shipping out reagents, and that was very challenging because to get quality reagents, especially probes for this RT-PCR, we were actually depending on probes to come in from abroad. We had given the actual sequence of the probe, but to get them manufactured, this was coming from abroad. So initially, we were very, the supply was not so smooth because it had to come in from overseas. But today we have, and the government has become much more self-reliant, and also these processes have been much more streamlined. We have shipped out as many as 57 lakh reactions from this institute to the length and breadth of this country. So at one time, we were like a factory wherein we would assemble the reagents, do a QC, a quality control of the reagents, package it, and send it by even the last flight out of Pune to different parts of the country. So shipping, packaging, quality control was, we have fine-tuned, or, we really become experts in that front as well. We also were doing a number of validations of other RT-PCR kits and antibody assays which were being presented to ICMR for validation. Initially, we were the only lab. Later, another 15 other labs joined the validation, but I suspect we've done 90% of the validations, which is over about 650 different kits. We have validated, given the results to ICMR, and based on the results, a particular company would be able to actually present their credentials to the DCGI, and then subsequently whether that could be marketed and supplied in the country. So we also helped many of the made in India companies. They brought their kits for validation. We gave them scientific advice and told them how they could improve their accuracy indices. So they actually worked on it and it came back to us. So we handled a number of made in India companies, improved their products so that again, supply for the nation became much better. We also have been looking at antivirals, candidate compounds, and drugs that were brought to us by different companies, different scientists. We looked at their antiviral properties. We looked at more than 100 compounds, and about 21 of them showed some promise. Then, in terms of course, vaccine, before I come to vaccine, we have also done a bit of technology transfer. We made our first indigenous ELISA, which you probably have heard of, which is known as a Kavach ELISA. Now, the Kavach ELISA is able to detect antibody to the virus, and ICMR floated an expression of interest with a view to more widespread technology transfer. So today we have transferred the technology to 7 companies. There were also pharma companies that came to us with a view to making horse or equine immunoglobulin. So that too, we handed over the inactivated virus, which we had grown up here in our institute. We handed over the virus, and again, following an expression of interest, this was handed over to 5 pharma companies. Now, if I were to talk about our own milestones in the institute, first was our ability to detect the first cases that came into our country. Then we were able to submit the first whole genome sequences of the virus that were detected within the country. and they were found to be 99.98% similar to the original Wuhan strain, the first SARS-CoV strain that came out of Wuhan. The first 3 cases were actually Indian students who returned from Wuhan, so that doesn't surprise any of us. We also were able to put up electron microscopy images, electron micrographs, which we published, whole genome sequences. And the big achievement was when we actually isolated the virus. That means when we say isolate the virus, we're able to propagate this virus in vitro in a cell line. So we could make up more of the virus. From there came live virus, inactivated virus, virus antigen. And that's how we have been able to help some of the companies with their initiatives towards vaccine. So that has been, from detection to moving into the era of helping pharma companies with vaccine. In May, end of April, May, we handed over the live virus. The strain which we gave was the NIV 220770 strain. Each strain that we had grown up or isolated or propagated, we gave them unique numbers. And it was this strain that we had characterized and, fully understood its genetic sequence. We could propagate it repeatedly in our lab. This was a strain we handed over to Bharat Biotech International Limited. And from then on, they had a view to make inactivated vaccine, a whole virion inactivated. Began the journey of them in the virus, giving it back to us for us to check that the virus is truly inactivated. We further characterized that, and then in between June to August, we started the preclinical or animal studies. And then, of course, came the July, August, we started the phase 1, phase 2 clinical trials. And in November, second half of November, we started the phase 3 clinical trials working with Bharat Biotech. And they are still conducting the phase 3 trials in different parts of the country. In March of 2019, there was an amendment made to the drugs and clinical trial guidelines, wherein they said if there is an agent for which there is no appropriate antidote or treatment, you can go by the phase 2 clinical trials. So phase 2 clinical trial data is actually available in the preprint version. You can look at it, but phase 3 is still evolving. They have finished a good number. I think half the number of patients have completed the first dose. And that the vaccine is given day 1, then on day 28 to draw blood from them. So, they started end of November. So it would be end of December, end of January, when we will be getting the samples that the first lot of samples after the 2 doses of the Covaxin.
How does a common man decide when to take the vaccine?
Field has already shown the AstraZeneca or Oxford vaccine has already shown that it has got good results with older patients. Okay, and Covaxin also will be providing vaccine to the patients above 60 years. So there is no, age is not a contraindication. Both vaccines indicate that should you have allergy, and particularly with the Covishield, they say the excipients of the vaccine, that means the other chemicals that are included in the formulation of the vaccine. Should you have allergy to any of these excipients, then don't take the vaccine. And Covaxin says, should you have any, profound allergies, I'm not talking about an ordinary rhinitis or even if you are an asthmatic, These are not contraindications. If you are known to be severely allergic to something, then maybe you may want to consult your doctor before you take the vaccine. Apart from that, allergies, because again, we are all still so new in the game, and safety is the primary concern. So that is why they flag any severe allergy as a contraindication to vaccine.
So, however, our NIV, ICMR NIV biotech vaccine is completely safe, and there should not be any worry as far as the efficacy and the safety of the virus is concerned.
Okay, touching upon the safety issues, I think safety-wise, it's a safe vaccine. I hope you have read the Lancet publication. Of course, when we talk about safety, you look at mild and moderate adverse events that follow vaccination. What has been most commonly encountered is localized pain or swelling at the injection site, and some have recorded fever, body ache, a generalized muscle pain, fatigue. Some have recorded headache. These, to me, are not serious adverse events, and there's only one case which they recorded as an adverse event, where individual was screened on a particular day and before the vaccination, and about, I think, 5 days later they received the vaccine, and then another 5 days later, I need to check the exact duration, but a few days later the person became positive for the virus. Now the problem with screening and then vaccinating, and if there's a few days gap, given the way this virus spreads in the community, it's quite possible that you may have screened a person, they are negative, but if there's a few days gap, like 4 to 5 days, you may be exposed in that period before you take the vaccine. So when you take the vaccine, because you have been exposed, and the vaccine's immunity takes, at minimum 7 to 10 days for that immune response to kick in. So if you have just been exposed before taking the vaccine, you might become RT-PCR positive for the virus, and that may not be related to the vaccine. It's because the person got exposed just before taking the vaccine. Do you get me? Screening was done, there was a gap, and then vaccine was given. So in that gap, I would suspect the person got exposed and therefore became RT-PCR positive for the virus despite the first dose. So that can happen often. So that's why it's, and logistically speaking, when you do these big trials, sometimes by the time you get the results, there could be delays. Ideally, the testing should be done, and vaccine, once results should be churned out as quickly as possible, and vaccine given soon after. Once you know a person is negative for the virus, negative for antibody, and then you give the vaccine. But if there's a gap, this can happen with any vaccine, any vaccine.
That's a very important information that you share, that only after testing the patient for the virus you administer after getting the test as negative.
Yes, as part of clinical trials, this is done routinely. Okay. But in reality, I'm moving to something slightly different. If you have been earlier infected or you were found to be SARS-CoV-2 positive, that is not a contraindication to the vaccine. For instance, I'm a healthcare worker and I was earlier positive, and then I have been called to take vaccine. It's not a contraindication. If I have known to be exposed earlier, I can still take vaccine. Slightly two different things.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a wonderful insight. And it is a matter of pride that the country now has 2 vaccines. A couple of more are being planned in the pipeline coming from the private players. So I think India is one of the few countries which has got so many vaccines at its disposal and exporting them. So we have
Exactly. That's a matter of great pride to see, almost, I think if I'm at least 5 to 5.5 million doses have gone overseas to our neighboring countries.
And how many of them are by ICMR, NIV, Bharat Biotech?
I'm not sure of that breakup, but I do know that Bharat Biotech was planning to supply to Brazil, but I am not sure about the breakup.
Okay. So yesterday I was reading a news where Bangladesh has opted for Indian vaccine because China was charging them for clinical trials. So
Correct.
these are very wonderful things that are happening. Going ahead, ma'am, what is the roadmap for NIV? Are we looking at the mutant version of the virus also in the vaccine trials?
Yes, that would be something we've already started. We have completed, looking at mutants. Yes, we found there are mutants in the country. We've also grown up, suspect a virus from suspect cases of mutant infection, UK returnees, and we have isolated them and again sequenced them and found they had the typical signature mutations that have been described for the UK variant of concern. We will be actually looking at, we have done some preliminary work at this time, I'm not able to share, but basically we have looked at in vaccinees who have already received vaccine, taken serum from them and tested it against the UK strain. And is that antibody able to neutralize the UK strain? We have some preliminary information that it can, but work is still ongoing. And our roadmap would involve monitoring other variants. It is expected that this virus is going to continue to mutate and we will have more and more variants from different parts of the world. So we will be monitoring that, a surveillance of that, actually interrogating the mutations, propagating them in virus, in cell lines, and again demonstrating, yes, those mutants do exist. And also we will be working with more and more companies who come forward with a candidate vaccine. And many of them come to us actually to do what is known as challenge experiments. Now, challenge experiments involve when we do this in animals. This is not done in human beings. So these are known as preclinical trials. So for instance, if you take the hamster model, in the hamster model, you can take this candidate vaccine, vaccinate the hamster, monitor its buildup of antibody, and then you challenge the same vaccinated hamster with live virus. Okay, and if you challenge and if this vaccine is actually doing the job, the animal will not go down with disease. And the amount of virus that could circulate in the animal will be less. We will get less amount of virus from the respiratory system if actually the vaccine was working. We will also have a control arm known as the placebo arm, where hamsters who have not received vaccine, they might have just been injected, say, with saline. So these hamsters will not have the effect of the vaccine. And when you challenge them, this control group of animals will go down with disease much more severely if as compared to a candidate vaccine that is working well. So we have done this already with BBIL, both in hamsters and in non-human primates, rhesus macaques. We have done it for Zydus cadila with rhesus macaques. And we have a couple more companies that are coming forward to us to interrogate their vaccine in terms of challenge experiment.
We are working towards vaccine candidates that will be able to take on the mutant version of the viruses also, because now we are much more better placed in terms of knowing the characteristics of the virus and how it is developing.
Absolutely. And world over, scientific experts will be actually looking at the virulence or the disease causing capacity of these different mutants. They will also be using animal models to see, is this mutant worse? We know that the UK mutant is believed to be more transmissible. So transmissibility experiments may be looked at, and the what would be the biggest question would be: is this more, virulent or more pathogenic or capable of causing more severe disease? So that will be a question. Scientific experts from all over the world will be monitoring with the emergence of new variants.
What would be your message to our viewers?
My message to everybody is that please go ahead and take the vaccine. We should not hesitate because, we could be a vehicle of transmitting this virus to our loved ones, to our parents, the elderly in our family settings. So we should definitely take the vaccine. Of course, whenever you go to take the vaccine, today there's so much information. I'm not talking about what goes around as infodemics, but there are people who can clarify questions for you. So I think you can ask all the questions, but please do take the vaccine. And I would take either of the vaccines. I haven't yet got the vaccine. Any of the two Indian vaccines, if I'm offered, I will take the vaccine.
Thank you, ma'am. You will take the vaccine, and I'm sure after listening to you, many of our countrymen will also take the vaccine and hope for a safer country and safer world. In conclusion, we have to also recognize the fact that this entire exercise of vaccine development happened when there was not only there was COVID, there was also lockdown for almost 4 months, and during this entire period, your work happened. So how did you and your team pull it off in such a with meager resources, no access at that time? How did you pull it off?
So this was possible firstly because we had formed very good teams. There was also good level of commitment from the staff of NIV. We also had quite a bit of support from ICMR headquarters. Now, during the lockdown, how we prevailed with our work was we used to send out vehicles from the institute with the the badge or banner of NIV, and actually the local officials immediately understood the role of NIV and therefore would allow our vehicle to pass. Towards the close of the lockdown, when trains had started commuting, again we got special railway passes for our staff. Our young staff were housed in our guest house, where they were provided food and a chance to rest, because we were working very, very long hours. Till about June, July, we were working 24/7. And we continued, especially when we started the vaccine work, that became very intense. And this is a testimony of excellent teamwork, where each of the teams put their mind to the job that was at hand. So we were able to excel on the different fronts, be it diagnostic work, where we improved on the assay that we first developed, improved it so that the throughput was, increased fourfold, be it validations, be it shipment, complex shipment logistics. We even sent a team out to Iran to help with screening Indians who were stranded there, to bring them back to India, antiviral testing, and of course, the vaccine work with immunoglobulins. This has all been possible because the teams came together. We, helped each other. People from other sections who didn't primarily work with respiratory viruses came forward to help us, and that's how we prevailed.
Wow, that's a wonderful insight, ma'am. Ma'am, we all know adverse situations when we overcome them. At the end of the day, there are a lot of takeaways, a lot of learnings we have. So, as institution head, as an individual, how do you analyze when you retrospect, and what are the key learnings, key takeaways you think you have had?
Getaway as the director of this institute is to lead from the front in terms of working as hard or harder than most other people. So, time is of the essence. We have to work, on a, what do you say, on a war footing. Be available for people, be an approachable person so that you are listening to people's challenges and problems while on the job, trying to fix those jobs, because unless we are there to help people circumvent whatever challenges they are facing, we can't get on with the job at hand. This has been a tremendous learning curve for all my scientists, my technicians, admin staff, myself as well. And it has involved, it's what I've learned most is believe the best of everybody, because it was not just the scientists and technicians and administrative staff. It was our security, our housekeeping staff, our canteen staff, all pitched in. So as a leader, if we believe the best in people, we can really draw out the best also for a challenging time as what we faced in the last 1 year.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful comments and spending so much of time with us. It has been an honor and a pleasure interacting with you. We are proud to have people like you and institutions like NIV amidst us, which is working round the clock for our safety and protection. You are no less the soldiers, we would say, without the uniform.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be able to tell NIV story.
It's a pleasure here, ma'am. Wish you all the very best, and may the coming year be bring in more brighter future for all of us.
Yes, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good day, ma'am.